I was 16 and you were 14 when my dad passed away, and it was a kind of sudden shock as well. So he wasn't ill. It was a kind of, he just had a heart failure, and yeah, obviously didn't make it through. But for us, it's kind of brought us closer together as a family. We was always quite close, but brought us together closer as a family and built resilience. We understand like what it takes to get through kind of really difficult times. Yes. And you never truly get over things like that, but it kind of helps build you as people. And you take, what can I take from this, and how can I build, you know, what we've been through, and how can we use that to put into something amazing, which is what we've done with our business.
And I think as well, like growing up, our dad used to always say to us, "What do you want to be when you're older?" Like, really? you can be anything you want to be. He always made us. What did you say
when you asked that question?
I said to him once, I said I want to be an accountant, and he laughed at me and said, "Oh, you can dream bigger than that."
Hi everybody, and welcome to FEBE Founder Stories. And in the house we have Samantha and Stephanie from Pretty Lavish.
Hello.
Got that right order, didn't I? Result. Listen, I am so excited to have you in here.
Oh, thank you for having us.
You were in the Times 100 last year, so thanks to our friends for publishing that, because it's to our benefit. Now you're part of FEBE. But I mean, massive congratulations to have taken, you started the business 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And my goodness, you're now on that hockey stick of chasing the dream, which is fast growth. Is it a huge amount of fun at the minute? Are you loving what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's so many challenges that you face at different stages of a business. Obviously, last October we celebrated the 10 years, which was a massive milestone for us. And I think we suppressed any kind of goals that we'd set when we kind of set up the business. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And I think just hitting the Sunday Times Fast Track 100 was an amazing milestone for us.
And we're trying to enjoy it more, because I feel like we've been so used to like chasing the next goal, but actually like we're trying to take a little bit of a step back and enjoy the little wins.
Because people, I think, because it's in your nature, right? Always chasing the next thing, because hyper ambitious, hyper driven, especially when you start to get traction with a brand, then you start to get even more carried away with where you can take it. So it's nice to hear you saying that. You're kind of taking it at the minute, and dare I say it, patting yourselves on the back.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to celebrate those wins.
So you're based in Hertfordshire,
over
45 people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the figures you reported, shy of a 9 million turnover businesses already.
Yeah.
Did you always think when you started 10 years ago that this is where you were going to be? Is this where you were destined to be, or does sometimes it take you a little bit by surprise?
Yeah. Definitely. I think for us, when we set up, obviously I was working in finance, a completely different industry. So I was in buying. And we've always wanted to do something for ourselves. Our dad was very entrepreneurial, so we come from an entrepreneurial family. And we just knew that we wanted to set up a business, and it just made sense in terms of the industry we went down. But I don't think we ever kind of properly planned.
That far ahead, really, I'd say. We always kind of just probably looked like the next year, what we wanted to achieve in like the next 12 months. And I think every year we just probably, kind of went past those goals, and it wasn't really until...
It was a hobby to start with. That's how it started. It was a hobby that we used to do in our weekends.
Was it? It was a hobby?
Evenings, yeah. So that's
which is what business is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
You seem like your best mates. Have you always been close? Have you always been, was it like being in the business was always something that you knew would be a great thing to be?
Yeah. People always ask us, how is it working with family, with sisters? So, that relationship, is it hard? But we couldn't do it any other way. We very close as sisters and as family. Mum's extremely close to us. And we always say we take our hats off to anyone who runs a business on their own. It's tough.
Yeah. And we're lucky we've got each other. Like, obviously anyone in business knows it's a roller coaster of a journey, and you have those down moments. And I think the fact that we have each other to pick ourselves up, and generally we're always quite aligned. Obviously we have disagreements, but we're very...
What happens in those situations? It's okay, disagreement. How do you resolve it, move past it?
It's usually just like, oh, I'm not sure on that, or you're not sure on something, and we talk it through and we're like, okay, that makes sense, and that's it, done. So it's easy to resolve generally. So
it's never a biggie. It's 50-50 in your base. You just get to eventually you work out which one of these is right.
Exactly, and we're generally mostly aligned, so it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and we know that nothing would come between like our relationship. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So,
that's exactly something we've heard today, which was that just remember that nothing can ever come between what makes this special, which is our bond. Is it just the two of you? Have you got other siblings?
No,
just the two of us.
Okay, so there's no one else getting jealous then, which sometimes can happen.
Yeah, I think our mum was involved in the early days. She kind of helped supported us and guided us. But
now that it's got a bit bigger, she's taken a bit of a step back. But we still couldn't do it without her. And likewise with our partners as well. Exactly. It's a hard thing to go through business, and you need that support system around you to pick you up on those tougher times.
So what's really cool about your business, I think extremely impressive, is you kind of achieved the perfect blend of creating a thriving consumer model to the business, but also you've been able to get the brand in some very reputable retailers, right? Were you always going to do both prongs? Is it start as a direct consumer business? How has that kind of evolved, and how have you successfully achieved it?
Yeah, it started as a direct-to-consumer business, and it wasn't until 2019 that we first started working with ASOS, so that was the start of our wholesale journey. But yeah, it was a massive kind of opening in terms of our brand awareness. Being in kind of partnered with those big brands really helps kind of get eyes onto your brand. And yeah.
Why didn't they approach you? Because it's just you were already getting traction, and
I think we was getting traction through our socials. We was kind of making waves in terms of the product that was launching. We went to that meeting in London really overly prepared, and it was so casual. I think they'd already decided before we got there that they wanted the brand.
So you were proper like Dragon's Den styling it. But
we were ready. Ready for all the questions, and yeah, I feel like they knew they wanted us from the moment we walked in, and we come out of that meeting.
When was that? When did you go into ASOS?
2019, yeah, I'm not sure what month it was.
Would you say that was part of the next stage then in terms of the...
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, wholesale is massive support in terms of like cash flow and that kind of thing. We've grown organically. We've never had any outside investment, so that's really helped us in terms of our growth and supporting that. But you have to be set up in the right way to be able to support wholesale, because obviously they had credit terms, and you have to be able to manage that cash flow in advance of taking orders. So, yeah, I think...
Let's talk about that. So, and that's really something to be really proud of and impressed by. You own it 50-50?
Yeah.
No outside investment?
No.
Is that because being fully independent and in control of your own destiny has been really important to you? Is that just the way it's happened, or is it because I just said it, you've always wanted to keep control?
I think the journey in terms of like we've been able to test and learn as we've gone along. So if we kind of grew too quickly, I feel like that would almost lose control over like the direction we was going. So we've been very clear on what we wanted in terms of our product, and being able to kind of test slowly but organically has allowed us to grow at a speed that we felt comfortable with. And also we didn't want to kind of expand too quickly. It's really important for us to get the right people in, and I think that takes time as well. Culturally, culture to us as a business is really important.
Yeah, we've done everything like ourselves in the early days, and I think that really helped us kind of grow the team and know what we needed expertise wise. So yeah, doing everything yourself in the early days I think is really important before you bring in investment, if that is the route you'd want to go down. I think knowing all elements of the business is really key.
With that said though, it took us a good 4 years to get going before we actually saw results. Yeah, so I think that first few years we had to be persistent, and we knew that we wanted to achieve something, but we knew it was hard. We knew we'd get there, but there's days that we questioned like, why are we doing this? We're not getting anywhere. So
well, let's talk about that, because the reason why businesses succeed and those don't, usually, I mean, I know of course it's due to it's down to your product, but I think a massive element is your ability to stick at it and that persistence. Were there times you're just thinking, I just don't know how we're going to get through this? Were there some really tough times?
Definitely. I think there's a lot, especially in the early times, we wasn't making a lot of money. The sales were slow. We were struggling to get kind of brand awareness, and it was tough. When we was like, how long do we stick it out before we feel like, this is just not working? So
we're not quitters by nature, though, are we? Yeah, we like to stick at things, and we eventually started to reap the rewards. I think as well, when obviously the pandemic hit us, that first few weeks of COVID was really tough, and
but it was horrendous,
thinking,
right?
It's a scary time.
Are we going to get through this? And obviously we had a substantial team at that stage to know that you've got to pay everyone's salaries, and orders literally fell off a cliff overnight. So that was a scary time, and there's definitely been moments of like, is it worth kind of what we're putting in terms of what we're getting back, but more so in the early days, I'd say.
I think it's how you attack those things as well. Like with the pandemic, just referring to that, we saw 2 weeks of like drop sales. Wholesale orders were potentially like pulling their orders, and we were thinking, God, like what we're going to do.
Terrifying, right?
Yeah,
it was scary.
Obviously, I think the world just didn't know what was going on at that stage, did they? So, but all we did know at that time was like everyone's going to be at home, everyone's going to be on their phone. So how can we channel that and like kind of increase our marketing and kind of push those channels, which we knew everyone had access to. So that was our strategy, and we kind of put our time and effort into using our staff to create content at home, and
and 2020 ended up being one of our biggest growth years, at that point. So yeah, I feel like there's silver linings to a lot of things that you originally feel like a big issue.
Yeah. We have a mindset in the office, and we kind of say this to all our staff as well. Everything's figure outable, so it's just you've got to figure out what the solution is. So you can face with any problem, but how do we overcome that? And that's kind of the mindset we try to instill in our staff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in terms of the, I want to come to the content in a moment, but in terms of just talking about your product, because obviously a big key, apart from you guys being epic, is the fact you've got an awesome product. I mean, looking at this is obviously your stash. I'm taking. We're not representing anybody else.
No.
Today. This is your, and it looks amazing quality. But my understanding is this is affordable, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about the product. How have you managed to source such great stuff that makes it look such high quality, but you've managed to get the price point to a point where obviously you're creating a tribe, a following.
Yeah. Well, we've got an amazing design team, and they spend a lot of time in terms of fabric sourcing and making sure that the fabrics we're working with are really good quality. And then it comes down to our manufacturers as well and the relationships we've got with them. So from the early days, we've really kind of prided ourselves on having strong relationships with our suppliers and them being an extension of our team. And yes. I think a lot of businesses don't see it like that. So kind of those strong relationships that we've built, and we've grown with them over the last 10 years as well. So they might have been kind of a really small supplier in the early days, but we've grown with them and we've supported each other. So yeah, we've been able to kind of build those strong relationships, and yeah, exactly. And with that comes kind of good negotiations in terms of your prices, and it's been a really good partnership.
Yeah. And then when we take on the other side, we take a small hit on our margin as well to be able to kind of offer at a lower price point as well. So it's kind of working on both sides.
Can I just ask a question? Because I've got a jumper that I love, but it's really bobbly. Obviously the quality is really important. Are there any lovely little nuggets you can give it of how you can stop that happening?
Well, we do on a fabric we feel it's likely to kind of bubble. We do peel-in tests to make sure we test to see what the commerciality is of that fabric. Right. So we know in advance of some things we know it's going to bubble, but is it commercial enough to? Because we love the product. And there's obviously ways that you can kind of debubble as well. So
yeah, so there's debubbling machines that you can get off Amazon.
Expensive?
No, not at all.
Right,
yeah,
so invest in one, right?
Yeah, even the sorts of cashmere will bubble. So it's like how you
look after your garments as well. So yeah, that kind of.
What do you do with this bobbling machine? Is it like a pump? This sounds great. What do I do with it? I'm gonna buy one.
You just turn it on. Yeah, you kind of work it over the fabric, and it just picks up all the loose yarns.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we try not to invest too much in a product that is going to.
Of course, it's going to
last over time.
On that note, Pretty Lavish. I know it's phenomenally popular with ladies, but you are going into the men's zone, right? Tell us about that, because this is obviously where I need to be buying my jumpers from.
Yeah, so we got a sample from one of our suppliers during lockdown, and for some reason it just looked like didn't come out how we originally envisioned, and it was perfect for menswear. And that gave us obviously that initial idea spark, and that was back in 2020. So we had the idea then, but it took a while for us to kind of start putting everything into motion. And we ended up launching 2023 last year, beginning of last year. So it took 3 years or so to get everything into place, but it's had an amazing reaction. And we wanted to do what we've done on the women's wear side. So that timeless clothing that's really good quality, but at an affordable price point, and deliver that kind of in the menswear market as well.
Yeah, awesome. Can I just talk about the following that you've got as well? Because you've got over 300,000 followers on Insta. Is that right?
Yeah.
That is an incredible feat. And again, we know getting a following on socials an important thing to do, but it's bloody hard to do. Mm-hmm. How do you think you've managed to do it? How have you got people to engage with you, follow you, and love you?
I think everyone likes to hear the story behind the brand, and I think in the early days, obviously Sammy and I were kind of shooting on ourselves. We were kind of talking about the brand, and I think a lot of the following has grown with us as the brand has expanded over time, and just consistency as well. I feel like we've really, especially in the early days, engagement can be low, and it's that consistency to kind of keep going, and something will have a good reaction, and it's how you kind of manage that over time.
I think it's important with social media to constantly be testing, trying new things, and their algorithm's always changing, so making sure that you're staying up with the times and researching kind of what's going on with social as well, and just making sure that you're constantly testing new things.
In terms of handling your own social media, were you doing it on your own? When did you bring, is it because you've had to bring in experts? It'd be good to understand how you've really got that momentum going.
Yeah, up until about 2020 we were doing it all ourselves, so did all the direct outreach as well to influencers and managed all the content and scheduling ourselves. And then we started to get in a team, and we're now on the social side, there's 3 or 4 people doing it. So we've got obviously the TikTok now and Noble social channels, so there's a lot to manage.
Yeah, any nuggets on TikTok in terms of how you get that firing?
We found that behind the scenes, people just love to be nosy on TikTok and understand what's going on in the background. So yeah, for us, the team content works really well.
So that's the real nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Kind of like just warts and all. Yeah.
And the unpolished raw content.
Really?
Which was hard for us at first because we've always been so kind of polished with our content. So TikTok was a whole new platform, and we had to get our heads around about how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, for us, the kind of behind the scenes.
And is Insta more the polished aspect, would you say?
Yeah, it's more more of a lifestyle kind of campaign content, that kind of thing.
That's the shiny product looking beautiful, you snap it, you put it out there.
Yeah.
Influencers, do you think influencers are a really key part of growing that side? I mean, obviously you said you did it and it's obviously achieved some success, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They've been an integral part of our growth. So we've never really invested kind of high fees into marketing. It's all been organic, and our way of doing that was working with micro influencers from the early days. And we ended up launching kind of collections with influencers that have worked so well, and worked with them like really closely. And it always felt authentic. So we've never worked with anyone that didn't feel right for the brand. And I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, in terms of growth. And I think those partnerships with those influencers are so important as well, because it is a partnership. It's not kind of a one-way stream. And it's important that they love the product, and it's important that they want to be showing it off in the way, that they want to. So we had to give those creative control as well.
Yeah. What's the dynamic between you two? Like, who does what in the business? Because obviously all co-founders do different things. Tell me about how you split up the roles between yourselves.
It's a strange one. I'd say we co-lead, but we have different specialities. So my background is finance and numbers. So I've always been on kind of, especially in the early days where we've had so little funds, is, we've got to keep the numbers tight. We've got everything we invest in, it's got to have a ROI, it's got to have a purpose, and always driving those costs. So my background's finance, and then Sammy's come from buying background. So
so I was in fashion buying, so naturally a bit more kind of on the creative side, and focus more on product and marketing. But like Steph said, we do very much kind of lead together and run a lot of meetings together, and we enjoy being kind of overseeing all elements of the business as well.
I think we value each other's opinions as well, so that works well.
Yeah, you're saying if there's a 50-50, then what I think is great is you basically get to a point where you can just get a consensus.
Yeah,
and that's pretty awesome, because that could be really detrimental to a business if that's not happening.
Yeah.
So I guess then you've got a lot of rucking, and the energy's just sapped from the business, right?
Yeah. We're generally kind of aligned most of the time in our way of thinking as well, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
When I've had a little nosy on social as well, you look like you've got like the pictures that you post of your office and the people in your team, it just looks like you've got a really nice setup there. How have you created that culture? Because culture is a really hard thing to build, but I can tell you've clearly built a sense of family there and loyalty. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. We've always said from day one, it is a family feel. We've really wanted to keep that as we've grown bigger. We're conscious that we don't want to feel too corporate, and that family feel is so important to us. I was actually speaking to our head of marketing yesterday, and she said, I've never worked somewhere that everyone cares so much, and you can really feel that, like, everyone just works so hard. And I think it's because we all believe so much in the brand and where it can go, and we just have got a really close family feel. It means that as kind of, I guess founders really try and make sure that no matter what level you're at, kind of everyone's idea is valid, everyone can contribute to the success of this brand, and kind of our doors are always open. Like, we really don't want that hierarchy kind of culture within our business.
I feel like some of the team have been with us from the start as well. Some of them have just grown with us, and generally we have like a really low turnover of staff, which is really positive. And I think that's why for us the recruitment process is so important, that we're bringing in the right people, because a wrong recruit can be really costly. And I think we kind of vet the kind of new recruits as well to make sure we feel like, are they going to fit in a team? Do they understand our culture? And that's really important to us as we expand, and that's something we really want to hold on to.
So let me just dip into that, because I think this is what I love about meeting people like you guys, the things you can learn. We've spoken about creating a following, we've learned about how you focus on the quality of your product. That's obviously why you're so successful, but you've just gone and said something there, low turnover, right, big tick. Do you interview pretty much most of the people that you take on?
We have done up until probably last year, which now we still interview, but we do it at the last stage. So it goes through a bit of a staging process.
But you still make sure you have a say on it?
Yeah, so no one comes in the business that we've not met or spoke to.
What's your favourite question that you ask then to really get to know someone?
We always like to say, what would your previous line manager, how would they describe you?
Nice, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, and also how your kind of direct reports would describe you as well, because I feel like that says a lot. And then we always ask...
Are there any words that you like? Oh, God.
Yeah. Anyone that says, I'm trying to think now.
Is there anything just cringy, or just like I've heard that?
It's difficult because we've actually taken on people that have said this, but when people say like, I'm really chatty and that, which is great because we want like a relaxed environment, but it's a difficult one if you don't get on with your work.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where your instincts and your gut kind of can work out.
Yeah, but you can tell from the person where they're conscientious, is going to work hard. So
yeah.
Because you get, especially at your size, you start to get it as you really start to grow now. Because I guess 45 could very soon become 100 in quite a short period of time. You get that wrong, then that's going to cause a problem to your culture, which you hold so dear to the fabric of your business, right? No pun intended there, but
no,
right?
Absolutely. And I think one bad hire can really kind of spread a bad culture very quickly throughout the business. So it's really important to us to make sure that we're bringing in the right people, and I feel like we've done a good job of that so far.
Definitely. We've always said like hire slow, fire quickly, and not that we've had to do that too much firing, but that's really important that you're kind of taking the right people, and even if it takes us time. Last year we've had like everyone kind of been like under a lot of pressure, and we kind of want to bring resources in, but we'd rather it take this extra time, and the team are on that level in the sense that they'd rather wait for the right people to come in rather than employ in just to fill a gap. And then actually it causes more disruption. Yeah, I was talking to one of the people in our gang quite recently who's running a brilliant business, and he was saying, in terms of having to have those difficult conversations and sometimes having to move people on, remember you have to do what is best for the business, because if you don't do what's right for the business, you affect everybody in it. Yeah, it's
and
so
it
true.
all goes wrong.
So
And for me, that made me think, actually, it's kind of like you've got to step out yourself, because if you keep it really hyper-personal, then you might start to make some bad decisions that could be detriment to the business, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're really like compassionate people, and I think making sometimes those decisions is really, really hard, and you feel like you're affecting their life. But actually, I think what we've been kind of taught is that you're probably doing them a favour as well in the long run. That if it's not right, if it's not working out on your end, it's probably not right for them either, and they're probably going to go on to find something that's better suited to them too. So I feel like if you can look at it from that angle, then it makes the decision a lot easier.
Yeah. Talking back to the retailers, if I could just look into that, because you mentioned some pretty awesome names there in terms of people that are stocking your products, right? Any tips in terms of really making sure that you get the best out of that relationship with those people? Because you hear some stories that can really affect a business and affect the relationship, and things can very quickly start to go in a bad direction. How do you keep those relationships really good?
For us, again, it's a partnership, so it's like how we can work together. So we ask for if they can provide sales data for us on a weekly basis.
Really?
For trade, so that we can understand, if something's not doing so well, like how can we work with you guys to kind of increase sales? Is it shot in the right way? Does it need reshooting? Is there, like a promotion we can do to help kind of support? Is there marketing on our side? We can send an email out, like kind of directing traffic to there. So it's all about that partnership. And if they feel that you're working with them in terms of to help their performance, I think they're willing to give more over to you as well.
Yeah. And likewise, when something is working really well, how can we get more of this in for you? How can we capitalise on that style and bring kind of like similar other products in as well?
What a brilliant, I was going to use the word hack then, but I mean, that's really good advice. Are they sometimes not forward then in giving you weekly numbers? Is that something you go your way to ask for?
Yeah, some accounts are more willing than others. And
really? So you say we want it?
Yeah,
definitely.
And I guess the tendency might be for some people not to, because I guess there's that worry of, how good is it? And so you're saying you've got to get rid of that fear.
Yeah.
You need to know it.
Yeah, and I think for us, like that transparency is really important, because ultimately we're all selling to the same customer at the end of the day. So even if someone's buying from ASOS rather than our own website, it's still someone wearing our products. We want to make sure that we're serving them in the best way possible. So working with our partners like that is really important.
We want to make sure that the product's selling well, because if it's not selling well, they're not going to come back and be ordering more. So it's a long-term relationship. So it's so important that we're working closely.
Yeah, like for us, when people post on LinkedIn or whatever, saying you're part of FEBE or being to a FEBE event, I just feel like I feel 6 feet tall, which is quite hard for someone my height. But I guess we were just up there, and Liv, who was here before, was wearing pretty lavish. Had no idea you were coming in. I just loved watching your reaction because you guys, you probably didn't obviously see it, 'cause you can't see yourselves, but your smiles are just like beaming. I guess that's just a lovely feeling, right? When you see the happiness that your product brings to people.
Yeah,
There must be no better feeling than that.
No, I honestly don't think there is. That is one of the best things about what we do. Seeing when you see a stranger wearing the brand, or like reading the reviews that we get online, there's honestly no better feeling.
I think that's what makes it all worthwhile as well. That's exactly what we're doing, the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And to hear people say how much they love the brand and how much they love the quality of the product, just makes it all worthwhile.
But before we were talking, you spoke about your late father, who it sounds like you had a wonderful relationship, still very much driving what you're doing. Tell me about kind of like how what it's taught you to go through such a tough experience, but how it's moulded who you are as people in the business.
Yeah. So I was 16 and you were 14 when my dad passed away, and it was a kind of sudden shock as well. So he wasn't ill. It was he just had a heart failure, and obviously didn't make it through. But for us, it's kind of brought us closer together as a family. We was always quite close, but brought us together closer as a family and built resilience. We understand like what it takes to get through kind of really difficult times. Yes. And you never truly get over things like that, but it kind of helps build you as people. And you take, what can I take from this, and how can I build, what we've been through, and how can we use that to put into something amazing, which is what we've done with our business.
And I think as well, like growing up, our dad used to always say to us, "What do you want to be when you're older?" Like,
really?
you can be anything you want to be. He always
made us. What did you say
us.
when you asked that question?
I said to him once, I said I want to be an accountant, and he laughed at me and said, "Oh, you can dream bigger than that." So hopefully I can make him proud.
Because our mum was an accountant, I think he wanted to follow in her footsteps. But he always kind of made us like have that, I guess, desire to dream big and know that we can achieve anything that we put our minds to. So that's been installed in us.
What did you answer when you were given the question?
I used to want to have my own wedding shop, like when I was really young, and I guess kind of we did open a store, so we kind of went down that route because we offer like bridesmaids dresses as well, and going into that kind of bridal space too. So I guess that kind of come to life.
But our dad has always been our biggest inspiration. Like he had his own business as well, so I think we grew up in that environment where we could see our dad really working really hard, and we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to be able to, he took us on nice holidays growing up, and we saw how hard he worked to seek those rewards that we were fortunate to experience as children. So that really inspired us. I think even when our dad was around, we kind of used to talk to him around. We wanted to set up our own business. Yeah. He made us come to his office and work there quite a bit. So we got experience in that growing up, which is, I think, a great foundation.
So you must be so proud then of the fact that you are living the dream, that you are doing it.
Yeah, I hope you would be
proud. It's kind of like you're doing what you're destined to be, because it's in your genes to build business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you think you can take this business? What do you think, what do you dream about realistically? What do you think you can do? Because obviously with where you're going, the world's your oyster, right?
Yeah, I think we've kind of spent the last couple of years really building the foundations and making sure they're strong, and we've really invested in the team in the last few years. So I think we've got really strong foundations to kind of expand quite rapidly. International growth is a huge focus for us. We're quite predominantly UK at the moment, so there's huge opportunity to expand our sales internationally. There's new product categories which we're really excited about. We want to be a global brand for the whole family, hopefully at one.
So that's the dream, is it? A global brand. This is I get excited. So this is world domination is on the cards, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why not. And I feel like we're so passionate about the product and how it makes people feel. Like we really want to help people feel the best they can feel, and I think there's something powerful in what fashion can do for you.
Say that again. Sorry, that's the kind of the why of the business. What do you say?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I guess that feeling that kind of fashion can give you, and that confidence boost that a good outfit can give you. And
it's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. If you feel your best self, then you can go on to do amazing things. So I know it sounds cliche, but we are just a fashion brand at the end of the day, but we can really help kind of impact people's lives and make them feel comfortable in what they're wearing so they can go on to do amazing things.
So how are you going to do it? Have you started on the international journey yet? Is it at the moment you're collecting information, you're hearing people how they've done it? It'd be great to know.
Yeah, so we do sell internationally currently. It's just it's not the core focus of
the UK is
UK is the main region. Last year end of last year we turned on markets on Shopify, which allow us to kind of in certain regions translate into our own currency and own language, localized stores basically, and that helps conversion. So we're kind of working to optimize that as well.
We've partnered with Namshi as well, which is a retailer like ASOS in the UAE. So yeah, starting to partner with kind of wholesale brands internationally, and then looking at our D2C model as well, and how we can kind of really scale the awareness in international markets.
I think in the coming years we hope to do more pop-ups as well. So we would like to, this year we're focusing on kind of UK pop-ups, and then next year we want to look at kind of like international kind of pop-ups to help with that brand awareness.
You cool with travelling?
Yeah, we're both mums now though, that's the only thing. So got little ones at home, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. How old are your babies? I've
got a daughter just turned 2.
Yep.
So I've got a son who's nearly 2 and also a 8-month-old nearly.
Wow, so I say this because I'm in the trenches with you. Mine are 3.5 and 1.5.
Okay.
And so it's weird, isn't it? When they're young, it's like full on wicked, but
it's the best thing ever, but it is.
So how do you like, with a business that's so far growth and a young family, like any lovely kind of advice here in terms of just how to get that real good blend of being able to do everything and be everything that you want to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no such thing as balance. People always say, like, how do you get the balance? But balance is whatever works for you. For me, it's like the most important things in my life are my family, my boys, and my business. So prioritising them kind of over other things that I could be doing is essentially how I try and make it work. And
it's made us take a step back, hasn't it? Last year we kind of reinvested in building our management team, so it was able for us to take a little bit of a step back, so we're not involved in so much decision making.
Right.
So that's definitely helped, hasn't it? And we try to take Fridays off to spend time with our family.
Brilliant.
And I think whether you're at work or at home, it's just trying to be present in that moment.
Yes.
I think it's so...
Which is hard.
It's so hard.
You know, you have your babies, but this is also your baby,
definitely,
right?
yeah.
And they both need just as much attention. So it's so hard to be present sometimes, isn't it? Because your mind just goes where it's going. It's what's hot on the, on the agenda right there.
Exactly.
So what's the figure that you'd love to... What do you think you can get this to? Where do you think you can take this business?
God. I don't think there's a kind of a ceiling amount. I think it's how far we want to take it. We're ambitious. I think there's so much what we want to do, so there's huge opportunity. I really want to go into kids wear, but it's just getting the right resources. Really? So like as we said, we always want to be that kind of be able to dress the whole family. But also we spoke about it at the Huel event as well, like how do we do that? Is it in terms of like rebrand? Do we do it in separate companies? So that's kind of what we're going for at the moment.
What do you think about that, based on the fact that, so we were talking about obviously the Legends event we did with Julian Hearn at Huel, and a great example of someone who's nailed the brand. The brand is beautiful, isn't it? It just looks beautiful, what it represents. But the kind of the message was you create the brand, you've got to stick with the brand. What do you make of the fact that you might have to, as you say, rebrand if you want to start doing the stuff?
I think any rebrand is going to be tough if you go down that route, and you spend we've been going 10 years now, so you spend so much time building that brand and investing in it, so it's got to be right, and that's why we're kind of having those conversations, like if we do it, it has to be the right decision.
There's pros and cons of both, and I think having the different brands means your focus is split kind of across different businesses essentially, which is going to be challenging, but also I think you're able then to target the audience a lot more in a more niche way as well, and make sure your marketing is really homing in on that consumer, rather than kind of again spreading that too thinly, which then can damage or make it a bit more tricky in terms of marketing.
Who came up with the name? It's a brilliant name.
Pretty Lavish or Noble?
Pretty Lavish.
Pretty Lavish was going back to I guess the early days. There's no real exciting story behind it. We were just trying to think of a kind of word or phrase that how we wanted to make people feel, essentially. So we want people to feel lavish in what they was wearing, and like I said earlier, it's just about making people feel the best they can feel when they put on our clothes.
It's a special moment when you came across when you thought of that name, because it is a very cool name. You were like, oh, we've nailed it. That is it.
Yeah, I think you know when you've got the name. I think it's a tough one, isn't it? We've spent a lot of time kind of brainstorming, and but I think once you know, you know.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming today. Samantha, Stephanie, I have absolutely loving hearing this story. You guys are wicked. It's so lovely to see the kind of connection you have with each other as well. And I that's why, you know, I can't wait to come over to your office as well. You're very kind of invite me to come do the FEBE cribs there. So wash out the space, everybody. But I can't wait to come over and meet your team, because I bet that's where we're really going to see that tangibility, that kind of family ethos. But really exciting to see what you're doing. I wish you all the very best in what's to come, because it sounds like it's going to be really exciting. So thanks, Imogen.
Thank you so much
for having us. We've really enjoyed being here, so thank you.
Thank you.